Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best mid laners for Season 5, patch 5.10. So first up on my list, I have Katarina. Pros to Katarina are, no matter how bad or how good I do in the laning phase, I just always find a way to get fed as Katarina, and I don't know if this is just me or if it happens to you guys too, but if I have a crappy laning phase, I just always find a way to get my kills and get my items and just deal a load of damage during teamfights, so I just think she's a really good pick because of that. She's got resets as well, which makes her a very strong team fighter. If you can get that first kill in a team fight, then you're just going to be able to go off and deal a ton of damage. She can also hard carry team fights because of those resets, and she's got pretty solid mobility because of her E as well. She's also great with the Luden's Echo because she's going to be getting a load of those procs off during teamfights because of her resets. And she's also a very strong roamer due to her gap closer on her E and her high burst damage. Some cons to Katarina are she's weaker against CC tanks, so you do really have to know when to go in during a teamfight as Katarina, because if you go in and the enemies have their CC spells available, you're just gonna get stunned or silenced or whatever, and then you're not gonna be able to do anything in the team fight. So you do definitely have to pick your opportunities to go in during a team fight as Katarina, or else you're just gonna get bursted down really quickly. And she is weaker against long range mid laners in the laning phase. Next up on my list, I have Cho'Gath. So pros to Cho'Gath are he's a great laner due to his passive and also because of his strong base damage on his Q and his W. He's also an amazing team fighter because of his very strong CC coming out of his Q and his W, and his ultimate is also very strong. If you can land your Q and your W combo and then use your ultimate after that, if they're a squishy target, then they're basically gonna die. Like, his burst combo is just really strong. He's also got a 2.5 second silence, which if you can get that off in a team fight on multiple targets, then the chance of you winning that team fight are going to be very high. His passive, like I touched on earlier, is also very strong because it enables him to sustain really well in the early game, and he's a tanky mage as well, so he can soak a lot more damage than other mid laners can in the game. And like I said, he does have very crazy one-shot potential. Some cons to Cho'Gath are he does not have any mobility, and he is also semi-skill shot reliant with his Q. Next on my list, I have LeBlanc. So I definitely think I've been underrating LeBlanc these past few patches. I haven't really played her very much, which is probably the main reason why I haven't had her on my list, but I've picked her up this patch, and I do think she's a really good pick right now. She's got insane snowball potential. If you can get that first kill in the laning phase on your opponent, then you can just continuously keep killing your laner, and then you can start roaming and just snowballing the game from there. She's also got insane mobility with her W, which makes her a very safe laner, and it just makes her a really good pick for solo queue in my opinion. She's also got a great passive, which can be used to get out of a lot of sticky situations, and if you do know how to juke with LeBlanc's passive, then you can definitely get out of a lot of tough situations. And she also does have great juking potential with her W. A few cons to LeBlanc are she is harder to play in my opinion because she's got so many different combos that she can use, and therefore you can mess up while using your combos while playing with LeBlanc if you don't use the right ones in the right situation. And she does fall off late game, especially if the enemies are tanky, because they'll just end up building Banshee's Veil, and then it's going to be a lot harder for you to assassinate your target. Next on my list, I have Ahri. So pros to Ahri are she's got crazy mobility due to her Q and her ultimate. She's also a very safe laner because if she's in a tougher matchup, she can just sit back and farm with her Q if need be. She's also got crazy pick potential with her charm, and she's got really good sustain as well with her passive. She's also got pretty good wave clear with her Q and her W, and she does have insane snowball potential. If you can get that first kill in the laning phase on your opponent, then once you do hit level 6, you're just going to be able to all in your opponent really nicely, and it's going to be really hard for them to escape you due to your ultimate. And she's also a very good roamer as well because of her ultimate and her charm. Some cons to Ahri is that she's pretty skill shot reliant. Her charm is definitely her main ability to land if you want to get your full combo off, and if you can't land your charm, then you're missing out on a lot of her potential. and she does have higher mana costs on spells now than she did before. So number 1 on my list for patch 5.10 is Echo, and to be honest, I think that Echo is just really, I don't want to say overpowered, but he's definitely really strong right now in my opinion. So pros to Echo are he's got an insane passive. The damage coming out of the passive is just absolutely crazy, and it scales so well with AP. And it just makes him a really strong laner, because what he can do is if he gets those 2 procs of his Q off and he dashes in with his E, he's going to proc his passive, and that just brings for a load of damage during the laning phase and at any point of the game as well. His ultimate is very strong because he can either use that to get out of sticky situations, or he can use it to dash back in and deal a ton of damage either during a team fight or during a duel. And because it resets your health, like, it's just such a strong ability in my opinion, and I do think they have to do something with it, because the fact that you regain health from it as well is just really strong, and it makes him a really strong duelist. He's got great wave clear as well due to his Q, and then once he picks up the Luden's Echo, his wave clear becomes even stronger. He's also got the dash on his E, which makes him a very safe pick, and he's got solid CC as well with his Q and his W. In my opinion, he's got crazy one-shot potential, because if you can land your Q, you can dash in, use your E, like the damage coming out of that is just absolutely crazy. And he's also got insane outplay potential. He's definitely a very strong champion in 2v1 situations, because if he puts his W down, walks away, and then once the enemies move over his W, he ults back and then gets that stun, gets the damage from his ultimate, and then gets the shield from his W, it just brings for a really strong 2v1 champion. He's also got the massive shield on his W, which makes him just a really strong duelist. And one con to Echo is that he is weak against CC, because if he jumps in and the enemies have a silence and he can't use his ultimate to back out, then he's going to get bursted down pretty quickly. But other than that, I can't really think of another con to Echo at this point. So first up on the honorable mentions, I have Cassiopeia. The nerfs to her this patch definitely did hurt her a little bit, but she's still a very strong late game champion, and if you can get those maxed items out on Cassiopeia and just get to that late game, her damage output is just crazy, and her ultimate is game changing as well, so I do think that if you're a good Cassiopeia player, you can still carry really hard. Next up I have Fizz. So this is AP Fizz, by the way. I do think that AP Fizz is actually pretty good right now, and not a lot of people are playing it, but I do think it's a very good pick, and if you're looking for a strong assassin, then I would definitely recommend picking up Fizz. Next up I have Ziggs. So Ziggs is definitely my favorite mid laner in the game right now. I just love his crazy poke and his very strong AoE damage when it comes to team fighting. If you can land ultimate on multiple targets in a team fight as Ziggs, like the damage output is just absolutely crazy. And I like that his ultimate is so versatile as well, because you can use it to clear out waves. Like say if your bottom lane's getting pushed out, you can just move over to bottom lane a little bit, use your ultimate down bot lane, clear out the wave, and then head back to mid lane and siege down the tower. So I just like the versatility that you get when playing as Ziggs. Next up I have Orianna. So I definitely think that Orianna is a pretty good pick in this tank meta right now, because she has a lot of sustain damage with her Q, which makes her a really good pick. And I do definitely think that if you know how to play Orianna correctly, that you can just carry really hard as her, because her ultimate is really strong, and if you can get that off on multiple targets in a team fight, then the amount of CC and damage that you're getting from that one ability is just absolutely crazy. Next up I have Anivia. So Anivia is definitely harder to play in my opinion than some of the other mid laners, but she is a very good pick in this meta, because once you do pick up the Liandry's, she's going to be doing a ton of percentage health damage, which is really good in this meta right now. So I do think that if you know how to play Anivia correctly, you can carry pretty hard as her. Next I have Vladimir. So Vladimir is also a great pick in this meta because he has sustained damage. His laning phase, it's not the best, but once you do hit level 9 as Vladimir, the amount of sustain he has is just really strong, and it's going to be really hard for your enemies to duel you, because his Q is on like a 2 or 3 second cooldown, and you're just going to be able to sustain a ton of damage while dealing a lot of damage as well with your Q. So I do think that Vladimir is a pretty good pick right now. And last but not least, on my honorable mentions, I have Twisted Fate. So I do think that Twisted Fate is harder to play because he's an immobile champion, and therefore you do definitely have to be very careful about your positioning when playing as Twisted Fate, but his ultimate is really strong and it's definitely a game-changing ability. Once you do hit level 6 at Twisted Fate, always look to get an ultimate down bot lane, because getting that ultimate down bot could just change the game, and it can just snowball the game out of control if you can pick up 2 kills down bot lane. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.